Bum, 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 bum. And we're off, I do believe. It is 9 a.m. It is Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 AD. And I'm listening to the beautiful sounds. Isn't that nice? I think it's nice. Odd that it doesn't look like it's going out on the ATEM. Is that different? Because you did something different, right? Presumably it's going. Yeah, yeah. And I can see it in the board. But whatever. Nice. We're gonna have a fun, loosey-goosey The Hake Report show. Some news to present to you guys. Space is so real, by the way. It's so real. And so, get excited. We have... What happened? Oh, by the way, I was wrong. I was premature. Not that I'm entirely wrong. And I'll explain why I'm not entirely wrong. But that guy who was... who allegedly killed the guy, the CEO, the guy who killed Brian Thompson. I won't say his name because he's a lame-o. He's charged with first-degree murder and terrorism. And I think it might be justified. Yeah, it sounds like it's justified because according to the definition of terrorism, it is a crime committed with a political motivation. A political motivation, right? So, meaning he allegedly had denied something 3D words on the rounds, and so I guess I agree with that intellectual definition of terrorism. So yeah, let's call it terrorism. Nice. Okay, so that guy got charged with first-degree murder. It wasn't just second-degree murder, FYI. That's nice. The young lady, had a turbulent home life. You guys have poisoned my mind, by the way. I will have you guys know. Because that used to be just normal. It used to be normal, but now you guys have poisoned my mind. We're looking at the beach. I'm walking along the beach in Santa Monica here in this video footage, if you're watching the video. And you catch a glimpse of, I can't even say the word, the F word. It's a 4-letter F word, and it's not a bad word, but they've turned it into a bad word as if it's something bad. So forget you guys. I'm blaming you for what's going on in my mind because you guys have traumatized me with you know, my hooves. Can you say hooves? Hooves is not, sorry. Whatever. Anyway, I already said we're gonna have a fun show, so I'm saying it so much you might start to doubt it. There are calls that are coming in, and there are super chats that I gotta read. By the way, is this loud? I don't know. But anyway, guys, let's just get right on with the show!
Have you been naughty or nice?
The Hake Report. La la la. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
The Hake Report. La la la. The Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Don't you like this beautiful scenery? The beach. We're at the beach. It's so nice, but it seems a touch loud. Let me just cut that off. Ooh. Like disturbingly loud. Maybe I ought to turn that down a little bit. Don't you like my nice, let's see here. What can I do? Let's see here. Come on. Let's do this over here. Let me practice my stuff. No. Let me practice my stuff. Let's see. What does this do? No. It will do... It doesn't matter. I know how to do it from over here, I think. I'm just... Oh, I know what to do. Yeah. Swing! Boing! Cool, huh? I forget why I wanted to do that. Oh, don't you like my shirt? It's cool. If you're watching the video feed, it's a button-up shirt, short sleeve. People get on me for wearing a short sleeve button-up shirt. And it has Deep Six. This is the G.I. Joe guy who is wearing one of those heavy undersea, deep sea diver suits. Just the head, the helmet. So cool. I wouldn't want to go down there. A rope, a volcano erupting, birds, palm tree, seahorse. I feel like there's an anchor around here. Where's it? Anchor? Whatever. Let me get to Daniel in Texas, who's on the line over here. Daniel in Texas, save me. How you doing, man?
I'm here to save you.
What's up? Doing fine, thank you.
What are you reading?
You know what? I haven't read in a little bit, but I was reading the Bible. I was reading. What was I reading? I finished 1 John, maybe a couple of times. I think I read from Peter, one of the Peter books in the Bible, you know.
I'm a Catholic. I don't know the Bible.
Oh. That's what I heard, was that Catholics don't read the Bible generally. And they kind of rely on the guy preaching the Latin or something. I may be butchering the situation.
Well, you know, if Catholics don't have to know the Bible, you don't have to know Catholics. How does that sound?
Fair enough. But shout out to the Catholics. I actually have a growing appreciation for the Catholics, good and bad. You learn things about human nature, taking sides. Just another example of it, because a lot of many Catholics take sides, and that's something that's a human nature thing. It's not a Catholic thing solely. And also, there's some actually sensible Catholics out there. Clarence Thomas.
William in California.
Yeah, William is okay.
He gets rough when he's defending Joe, but other than that, he's an all-star in my book.
Right. Yeah.
But I've been guilty of defending Joe too. So.
Nice. Yeah. True.
Because I don't equate Joe with a snake. I equate snakes with snakes because I've had some run-ins with real snakes. So
I have too. I've never direct contact with the poisonous ones. Although, but I did carry them in a bucket. Carried one rattler in a bucket, a sidewinder, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of scary because its rattle had been nipped off. Maybe, I don't know if it was run over by a car or what, but it was a creepy thing. The Mojave ones are crazier, but all those rattlesnakes are crazy. And but at least we're not in Australia. Those things.
Yeah, Australia. Well, Australia has some very interesting biosystems because they have much of it is like desert, but they also have kind of these densely forested areas on the east coast there's a mountain range that blocks the weather from raining inland. But before the mountain range on the eastern coast, it's a heavy vegetation. That's where you see all the crocodiles and all the critters.
Okay.
And then you're going to have like your giant tarantulas on the other side of the mountains in the desert.
Yeah, crazy. It's scary, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they probably have some pretty nasty snakes over there too.
Indeed. And they don't necessarily warn you. They don't really rattle.
Yeah, they're just, most snakes I think are venomous, and there's a handful that aren't, I think. But it's just safe to kind of just steer clear of them.
That's interesting because in America, they don't seem to be as venomous per capita. They do have the coral snakes, which are venomous. Not poisonous, venomous. Nice word. And then they have the rattlers, and I guess they have copperheads, water moccasins down south. Those are scary.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that, I think there's garter snakes, king snakes. Both of those are fine. Gopher snakes are fine. I already said king snakes. There's multiple different types of king snakes. That's why I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Coach whips are fine. There's so many snakes that are just totally I mean, they'll bite you, but it doesn't. They'll draw blood, but they're not. Their venom doesn't hurt us anyway if they have venom.
Yeah, I think that's probably because of animal control for the most part.
Oh, wow.
In heavily, in densely populated areas, there's going to be animal control. Because whenever somebody sees a snake, in an urban environment, it's likely that they'll tell somebody, and it's going to be dealt with.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And the wildlife people. I did so-called natural history in one of the community colleges around here. He said you should never kill a snake. You should never kill a rattlesnake. Because they've been killing so many. Perhaps that they're in danger
are they
or
in
something.
danger?
I don't know.
Yeah,
probably some do-gooder type stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to killing animals, moderation is the key. And so, when I called before, I was talking about hunting Cape buffalo. That's very much a controlled environment. You're not poaching an animal illegally. It's a controlled environment. They hunt specific animals, and the hunters bring money. So the money allows for conservation to keep out poachers and bad businesses, destroying the land. And that allows the animals to thrive. And when the hunters come, they want the trophies. And the trophies have it's usually a male, an older male. And the trophies have already had their shot in the gene pool.
Yeah. So
it allows for a more, your favorite word, diverse gene pool.
Yeah.
And that's good for all the animals. It's great for conservation. But as far as killing animals willy-nilly, like hunting the buffalo to extinction,
yeah,
that stuff obviously you don't want to do.
That's organized, white, decent, responsible Ted Nugent type stuff.
Right.
That's cool.
And there is a lot of nobility in hunting, because many of these animals, it's nature. They die very painful deaths. And especially with hog hunting, hogs are a liability. They're very destructive. They breed uncontrollably, and they are not nice to each other when they die. They basically eat each other.
Wow.
And, yeah, they're very nasty. And so hunting is kind of putting them out of their misery for...
It's a mercy.
Right. A lot of hunting is mercy.
That's cool.
Because dying in the wild is painful.
Yeah, you know what? I have thought about that sometimes because, human beings, when human beings die or get, or have, or sickness, we're on our last legs, they being the doctors, save us from the pain of of dying and of that sickness and stuff. And I feel like that might be, not that I would want to go through that pain, but that might be what used to save us from hell. Because then we would be like, oh, God. I don't know. I might be making that up. Yeah, because, you know, on your deathbed, you may, like, go through that pain and you're like, oh, man, I repent.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seems a little off. I'm not mad about it because I don't want that type of pain. I've had some major pain sometimes. And I'm glad, at least selfishly, for painkillers, you know. But it's like it like separates you from reality. This this painkiller stuff, whereas this stuff is natural. Not saying natural is better necessarily, but I'm looking at hogs while I'm talking to you. But that's an interesting point, man.
I tend to subscribe to Robert E. Lee's perspective on, you know, indulging and all things in moderation.
Yeah.
He was big on moderation.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And he didn't drink himself. He was Methodist. He was not interested in drinking, but he didn't pass any judgment on anyone who did. And oh my goodness, I just got into the Civil War without even thinking about it. Anyway, my point. I don't really have a point. So I just want to point this out because this is interesting to me. So I'm just going to share it with everyone.
Okay.
So Lee's first Corps commander is James Longstreet, and the second Corps commander is Stonewall Jackson. And Stonewall Jackson was this deeply religious, no indulging in anything, very boring, mundane kind of existence.
Uh-huh.
And Longstreet liked cigars. He liked gambling. He loved to drink. He had his favorite, you know, things to do and camp. He loved relaxing. He enjoyed being around his men. His men enjoyed him. They called him Old Pete. They enjoyed being around him.
They called James Longstreet Old Pete?
Old Pete.
Huh. They call him Old Warhorse too, right?
Yeah.
Or Lee did. Yeah.
Lee called him my old warhorse. Lee ascribed two nicknames to two different people, and it's the only nicknames he ever ascribed to anybody.
Wow.
And that was James Longstreet, my old warhorse, and Jubal Early, my bad old man. And Jubal Early was younger than Lee, but he was kind of grumpy and crotchety. So, and, you know, Lee never cursed or anything like that, and Jubal Early was known for a string of oaths, and you know it was amusing to Lee. But so Lee camped beside Longstreet. He didn't camp beside Jackson, you know, who is real stringent on his religiosity, and it kind of isolated him from everyone. He was very strange. He was a very strange person.
Uh-huh.
He was hard to get along with. He was very strict and stern, and he had a lot of character flaws, but he did have notable accomplishments in his career. But Lee enjoyed the company of James Longstreet, and James Longstreet indulged in all of these things.
Too much, perhaps.
James Longstreet indulged too much?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Oh, no. Lee never saw any problem with. He enjoyed being around Longstreet.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the camp environment. He enjoyed the fact that the men were at ease around their commander. He enjoyed.
That's cool.
He would camp with Longstreet, but he wouldn't camp with Jackson. Jackson was just boring. He was boring. You know, he would probably go to bed early. You know, James Longstreet would stay up late gambling, and then would be, you know, gambling and drinking. And
it's funny because James Longstreet, that's his name, right?
Yes.
He lived to the ripe old age, I call it tender young age, of 82, whereas, who was the boring one? Stonewall Jackson died at 39.
Right. Well, Stonewall Jackson died in war.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay then, I guess.
Yeah, he
Although
was
you don't want to
shot.
die. Wow.
And well, let's talk about that because that's a very interesting thing. So Gettysburg is the big battle that everybody focuses on in the American Civil War because it's the biggest one.
Uh-huh.
And Lee doesn't have Stonewall Jackson because Jackson was killed a month and a half prior to Gettysburg. And one of the things that people cite as a big failing, or why the Confederates had failed, is because Lee didn't have Thomas Jackson.
Wow.
And his death and the death of Lee's cavalry officer, Jeb Stuart, were very similar. It happened around the same area in the same type of manner. It was eerily similar. Thomas Jackson was shot by his own men when he was doing a reconnaissance patrol.
By accident.
He went out by accident. It was a total accident. He was
Friendly
shot
fire
in
is
the
very
arm.
common, they say.
Yes. And there are a number of instances of friendly fire because there's one instance where the Louisianans had uniforms that were very similar to the Union.
Wow.
And there was a lot of friendly fire with that. They would fire at each other. If somebody's firing at you, you'd fire back. And
Yep.
When you finally called for a ceasefire and realized who they were, they would say, why did you attack us? And well, we attacked you because you attacked us. This sort of back and forth would go for a while. But anyway, wow, I just went on a huge tangent.
But we were talking about I always said that it was a shame to die in battle. Like you don't want to die in war,
especially by friendly fire.
Yeah, right. One of my friends. Well, it wasn't my friend, but one of my the guy I went to high school with. I recognized him. I would see him sometimes over like across the way, and he seemed like a good guy, a Mexican guy, Americanized, I guess. He died. I think he got run over by a Jeep or something over in Iraq pretty early on, fresh out of high school, basically.
Yeah.
And what a shame. What a waste. But I guess that happens so commonly with people.
It does. There's a saying, Joe will get you killed. And it comes down to just being aware of everything around you. And vehicle accidents in the military are very common because it's war. You're out in wherever you are. There's no speed limits.
Yeah.
And so people will, and all sorts of accidents happen when you're rushing things. People will get caught up on their seatbelt and they can't get out and the vehicle keeps going, or they just plain get run over. They're not looking where they're going and they get run over. And that stuff is pretty common.
Yeah.
Patton died that way. General Patton died that way.
Oh. Some people say that somebody offed him, but it's perhaps more plausible that it was an accidental killing.
Yeah, and it is an interesting thing. People like to build up, different stories about various events.
Yeah.
But the Patton thing, that is something that happens. You get hit by vehicles.
Right. Got to keep your wits about you. Got to be careful. Got to be alert. And I don't know if you blame Patton necessarily, but maybe somebody else wasn't paying attention, or he.
Yeah. Well, it was in Patton's case, it was an Army Air Corps technical sergeant in a Jeep, and the people that kind of build the theories around it say that this man has never been found. They had no idea who this guy is. He kind of was there at the scene, and then he disappeared.
Wow.
Nobody knows what happened with him. So there's kind of an air of mystery surrounding that.
Wow, he died in Heidelberg. That's where I went in Germany. I went to Heidelberg. I went and saw a cousin-in-law was studying over there or helping with science stuff or something over there. There's a military base, and so but there's some science stuff going on over there too. Biology or something, microbiology.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I visited
I heard.
back then. Yeah.
Okay. I heard that caller on JLP. Oh, by the way, that Daniel in Texas that gave the donation is a different Daniel than I am.
I know. I'm aware.
Learned from that.
Yeah.
Okay. That caller that called into JLP with the science thing made me wonder, because the way he was carrying on, it made me wonder, did somebody pay him to do that?
Oh, the one who said, "Prove it." Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah. The prove it. Prove it.
God knows. It's kind of like something can be so weird that that people come up with a alternative solution other than that this guy's just angry on a psycho kick. I think it's most plausible that he's just on a psycho kick. I think, yeah.
That's a good point.
Right. There's people in my chat who at the very beginning of the show were like, "Prove it."
Prove it.
Because that was an instant classic, that caller, that angry caller. Gabe number 2 from Texas. Because there were a couple of Gabes from Texas who called into the JLP show. Well, this one called into the third hour, and he's an atheist and an angry atheist, and angry about lies. Why are you yelling? Because you're lying. You're deceiving your audience. Your version of Christianity is disproven by modern science.
Do you think he calls various religious talk shows? And
he may.
Or do you think he just targets Christian?
Yeah, he may. I don't know. Sometimes people get really triggered by JLP. You know, like something will. Similar instance with my frequent guest from Misfit Nation, Crishaun the Don. People get really. It just brings out the devil out of them.
I'm a Crishaun fanboy.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yep, me too.
He's sharp. He
gets
it.
Indeed.
I'll never forget when he had a caller. It was a black caller, and he was saying, I can't believe how nice white women are to black men. And he said, yeah, they play the long game.
Yeah.
And it was very insightful. And the point to take away is that why aren't black women that nice, right? It's kind of that you're saying that white women are nice to black men, but you're not wondering where are these black women that are equally nice.
Yeah. On the whole, they're not. There are some who do play nice, who do similarly, you could say, play the long game.
Well, the irony is there are black women that are very nice to black men and are not nice to black men. That way, black women that are very nice to white men that are not nice to black.
Oh,
men.
yeah. A lot of times, people are very judgmental toward their own family and toward their own race.
Right.
Yep. Because they know their own race, and so they have an extra judgment on top. Whereas these other people, they don't know the deceit and snakiness of the other races necessarily. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or it's, a judgmental person an angry person will always have their favorites, play favorites.
Right.
Yeah. It's an interesting, this race stuff is an interesting race and culture and all that stuff. It's such an interesting phenomenon to me. That's why I like to know who the person is who did or said this thing, and kind of, I suppose it's vanity and getting into my imagination about what made them go in this direction, or just, the patterns. It's interesting to me. It's fun. I feel like it's kind of harmless. But anyway, it's a little
what do you think about
hobby. Yeah, go ahead.
So identity is kind of a topic that we touch on. And so my identity, I'd say I'm Catholic, I'm white. But there are people that I subscribe to that heavily identify with being white and Catholic. And then there are people I subscribe to that heavily identify with being Catholic, and that race is not a, white and black is not a thing. You can have nationalities. You can say, well, I'm Nigerian or I'm German or English, but the white and black thing is not applicable to it. Like what language you speak, I think matters more than your skin color. And I listen to all these sides. I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong. There's clearly different perspectives on identity going on.
Definitely. And how people are shaped by their culture or family or race or religion growing up. Definitely. Hugely.
Yeah.
And how people are shaped by what they allow themselves to believe.
Yeah. Pick and choose what they hear.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to learn things that you aren't familiar with.
True.
I was raised Catholic. There's no reason why I feel the need to go learn anything about any other denomination.
I'm the same way. Yep. I don't even necessarily see a reason for someone who's a Muslim or or whatever to
not be Muslim.
To change. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, be open to the truth, yes, but that's what everybody should be doing. That's a basic thing.
Yeah.
But that's. I'm not saying that Muslim is right too, because I was raised, and it's in the Bible that Jesus is the only way, right?
Right.
But a lot of this exploring and changing is vain stuff. It's desperation. People get lost searching. Like the Nirvana guy. He got into other stuff, and who else searched? Who's that guy who sang Major Tom?
David Bowie?
Yeah, David Bowie. He had a little Buddhism phase. These people
all these musicians do that.
Yeah.
The Buddhism thing.
Right.
Because in their mind, it's so neutral.
Yeah. What a mess.
There's nothing worse than being neutral, James.
Yeah.
I mean, pick a side.
Interesting. It's great talking with you, Daniel, in Texas. Let's talk again, man.
Okay. All right.
Merry Christmas to you.
You too. Merry Christmas.
All right. Bye. Hayden in Texas on the line over here. Hayden, thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, Hake?
Going well, thank you.
Good. So did I hear right that C-Sal tunes Joe from Phoenix out?
Yeah, she said that. And I'm like, oh man, there must be something. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. That couldn't have been said about a more perfect person.
And she said it so innocently. She just, starts to do her thing.
I know. I mean, he's everything he says is just a complete lie. Everything he says. Shoot, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So, can I offer a suggestion by any chance?
Sure. What's your suggestion?
So Friday of last week, you and I talked about exactly, about him bringing up the facts and all this stuff, and then he calls in. He calls in this past Monday. And by the way, you shut him down so good both Monday and Tuesday. But Monday's call shined a light on you and I's conversation last Friday. You should you know how you post those highlights on the internet?
Yeah.
You should clip you and I's conversation on Friday and put it next to the one of you and his on Monday. That'll show your audience that what you and I say about him and whatever everyone else knows and says about him too is 100% true.
Okay. Thank you for the suggestion, man. Yeah,
I do that because it would shine a light on his lies.
Appreciate that input, man. I was thinking about some of my callers yesterday and how insane their takes are sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And what's wrong with me that I get into these long arguments with them? Anyway.
Here's the thing. I don't.
But yesterday, and maybe the day before, I don't remember the day before, but yesterday I was a little bit more detached, and so I could see that maybe I handled him better that way.
Yeah, you in this conversation Monday, you handled him so well. Like I was cheering you on as I was listening to it. I was like, yeah. Hey,
it can be. Isn't it kind of satisfying to hear the truth spoken to the lie? The deception, yeah. I understand that feeling.
It's so easy to debunk them.
Right. Yeah. Nice.
It is so easy. What was I going to say? Oh yes. So he brought up the facts 100 times. He said everything you said was wrong. He said everything you said about the unqualified DAs were wrong. Which he even went as far as to asking you, do you have their voting records?
I know
as proof of the facts. That's how ridiculous and unreliable he is.
Yeah, that was a desperation move. What's up, Age of Inversion and White Man? Yeah, that was a desperation move. It's interesting talking to these people. I was thinking too about you know how you brought up our conversation about facts versus truth. I forgot that we had talked about that.
Yes.
I was thinking about, you know, the JLP show and how, what was I thinking about? Oh, there's this line, and I think I've probably told it to you before, definitely told the audience, that an intelligent mind neither rejects nor accepts information. It doesn't do anything with the information. It just hears it and okay, doesn't react to it. But an intellectual mind either accepts or rejects information. And
exactly,
JLP will say something like, everyone on earth is schizophrenic. And an intellectual mind, a Reddit bro, will be like, well, actually, and they'll cite these facts about what the APA says, psychological associations say, or something dumb like that. But they are missing the point. They're missing the depth of his point. And so that's yeah.
Exactly. And he was like giving you all these sources and stuff, and only God knows who the authors were of these sources that he was giving you.
Yeah.
True. Was like, I mean, he's just digging his own grave. But he really needs to stop saying that Trump's a criminal. I mean, the fact, according to him, the facts are that all these cases have been dropped against him, or almost all of them. They're in the process of being dropped against him.
Uh-huh.
And then also, over 77 million people voted against his poison that he tries to spread on your show.
Right.
Without calling him a criminal.
Yeah.
He's just... He won in the modern day landslide. I understand he's still coping, and you know his cries are everywhere, his tears everywhere. So he won in the landslide. But I mean, enough's enough. He just sounds like a whiner and a professional victim, calling Trump a criminal and then using racism so loosely.
Yeah,
it's so sick.
It's I'm chuckling. I just saw somebody say that I need to move my Prius. It's in a handicapped parking space, and they say autism doesn't count.
Come on.
No, it's just Radulaser on Twitch being funny. Yeah, I noticed that we would do well to listen to one another at the risk of sounding like a hippie. We would do well to listen to one another rather than criticize and attack one another. And because sometimes people can say, even a snake can tell you something that can open your eyes to be useful.
Well, he only opened my eyes to the truth versus fact.
See?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's about it, though. That's
yeah,
about
exactly.
all he's good for.
Thank you, Joe from Phoenix, for helping to open HADEN from Texas's eyes. That's cool. What a great guy.
Oh yeah, great, all right.
You wanted to talk about Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes, but can I ask you a question? So can I ask you a question? Then can I go to Teddy Roosevelt? And then I got 2 questions for Joe and Phoenix afterwards. Can I do that really quick?
I don't know, man. I went really long with Daniel in Texas.
Okay.
Call me back later on some of those other things. Go to what you want to go to today.
Teddy Roosevelt. Okay.
Okay.
So I watch. I believe it's did they call it a Facebook reel or something like that?
Probably.
It was like a 40-second video I watched, and it was this history person talking about Teddy Roosevelt, and so the 40-second video that I watched, by the way he worded it, it sounds like he's quoting Teddy Roosevelt, and this is what he said. He said, "But a hyphenated American is not an American at all. The men who do not become Americans and nothing else are sorry. The men who do not become Americans and nothing else are hyphenated Americans, and there ought to be no room for them in this country. The man who calls himself an American citizen and who yet shows by his actions that he is primarily the citizen of a foreign land plays a thoroughly mischievous part in the life of our body politic. He has no place here, and the sooner he returns to the land to which he feels his real heart allegiance, the better it will be for every good American." When you hear that, what does that say to you?
I like that. I didn't know that was going on 100 years ago or whenever this Teddy Roosevelt man lived. That's a good... And he's talking about the man who puts German or Irish. This is true just as true of the man. Purported quote. I don't know if it's a confirmed quote, but a purported quote, a supposed quote that may or may not be true. It says, "This is just as true as the man who puts native before the hyphen as the man who puts German or Irish or English or French before the hyphen." And now, and that's before they started bringing in all these Chinese. I mean, there were some Chinese, but it wasn't to the level that they're bringing in with the 1965 Immigration Act, which was several decades after him, or at least a few
Correct.
decades after him. That's interesting, man. Right? Good for him, and he's right about that.
And look where we are today. And he was president. Either, don't quote me on this, either the late 1800s, early the 1900s or the 1910s. I'm gonna go with the 1900s, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I mean, everything that I just read to you is what is going on today, and he couldn't have been more correct on everything he said.
Become Americans and nothing else. We don't do this
Yes.
at the risk of dog whistling. We don't do this dual citizenship stuff, except in one case, and I'm okay with that one case. Because shout out. But anyway, I'm kidding around, teasing a bit. That's purportedly a address to the Knights of Columbus in 1915, New York City. Theodore Roosevelt. Interesting, man. Thank you for the quote and the insight. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right on. Hayden in Texas. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Hake. Have a good day now.
You too. Take care. And Joe in Phoenix, our friend, your friend, /fiend. Joe, what's up? How you doing?
Good morning, James.
Morning.
Boy, I tell you, if there's ever need proof that I lived rent-free in the Keystone Cop's head, that was it.
Nice.
And I tell you, every time they call in, they just prove those studies more and more correct. It's amazing just how incredibly dumb they are. But that's okay. Let's move on.
We all are dumb.
No, just dumb.
Oh. Well, I say all of us.
Our talk yesterday about the $15 million and ABC owing to Trump. I hate to admit when you're right, but I always do.
Nice.
It was a settlement. It was not a judgment. So a judge did not say that he was wrong for calling him an R word.
Okay.
Because he is. But he did settle, and I tried to find why ABC would settle when they were correct. All I could come up with, all I could find, I should say, is that they said they just wanted it to be over and they were scared, now that he's going to become president again, that they were going to go after their broadcasting license.
Interesting. That was their excuse.
I have no idea. Yeah, that's their excuse. I have no idea if that's true or not, but that's what they said at least.
Interesting. I don't know if you caught American Anchor Baby. He looked into this whole case, and he looked into what was the facts of it were. They say that the jury specifically said they were specifically rejected that it was R-word, rape. They said it was sexual abuse.
They couldn't in New York. I told you that before.
I don't know. I heard, from what I understand, this is New York, the E. Jean Carroll crazy lady who said, I think most people think rape is sexy. Sorry, kids.
Yeah,
ladies.
That's a pretty crazy comment, yeah.
Yeah. She said that with Anderson Cooper on my competitor, CNN. But she's funny. I like her. But I disagree with her, obviously. She's evil going after Trump with that. But they specifically found him liable for so-called sexual abuse, not for rape.
Because they had to, James. The R word was not available to them in New York. It's my understanding, again, I could be wrong, but my understanding in New York, R word is very, very narrowly defined as you had to use your private parts to violate the woman.
Gross. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In that case, it was just his hands, his fingers.
Right, and I don't believe that for a second because interesting noise. Anchor Baby said that they decided that the preponderance of evidence made it more likely than not, 51% or 50.001%, that since he said, grab him by the way back in 2005, that meant that, and then she and her fellow supposed witnesses that weren't actual witnesses, but she and some other testimony, hearsay, basically. It was all a bunch of hearsay that they based it off.
100% accurate, yes.
Yeah, so that's not really...
I told you before.
So shame on you for calling him an adjudicated R-wordist, because that's not really fair. You know that that's not fair. That doesn't make it... In your mind, does it... Never mind what the jury decided. In your mind, based on what you are aware of, is it more likely than not that Trump did that?
James, I have no idea. You have no idea. I wouldn't even hazard a guess one way or the other. Neither one of us was there. I do not know.
I would definitely hazard a guess that he did not do that.
But I do know
that
a decent man doesn't even put himself in that situation.
But we don't even know we don't even know what situation it was.
A pastor friend of mine told me a long time ago, he said, Joe, there's never any reason for a married man to be alone with a woman who's not his wife or a family member.
Oh, so you're friends with Mike Pence?
No.
No, I know. I've heard this before. I heard it before Mike Pence ever said that, by the way. Yeah,
Me too.
And in fact, my mother, okay, Christian, she did not let us, when we were dating, some of us kids dating when we were still under our parents' roof in high school stuff, didn't let us close the bedroom door when us and our little girlfriends were visiting, hanging out. You don't close the door.
Woman.
Yeah.
My kids weren't even allowed to go to their room with them when they were dating.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
You had to stay in the common areas of the house.
Nice.
Or the barn.
Right on. That's a good snake. I'm patting you on the head.
I keep telling you, when you call me a snake, you're calling me the same as Martin Luther. That's a compliment.
I don't know what Martin Luther was like. I'm on the fence about him. I question everything nowadays, We were taught all these heroes, and some of them were not heroes. But I'm not saying he wasn't a hero, but whatever. Martin Luther, the first Protestant, or the most prominent ones.
I respect him for going against the Pope and the King of England. So that alone gives us my respect.
That's fair. I think.
Yep.
Right on, man.
All right. That's all I have for today, James.
Good to hear from you.
You too. Have a good day.
All right. Bye. Oops. William in California on the line over here. William, thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up?
It's okay. How you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you, sir.
Good, good. And you be careful with those snakes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not talking about Joe. That's my
Right.
man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like Joe. I like Joe. You be careful with the snakes, man, because the coral snake is actually poisonous.
Oh, yeah. The coral snake, red touch yellow, kill a fellow. Red
Right.
touch,
You
red touch
remember
black,
you-
don't
for
do
the-
jack.
For the boys and girls out there, you said this morning that they were not.
No. I
So-
said that they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I
said,
misheard you. Okay.
yeah. Coral snakes, water moccasins,
Hey.
rattlers. Those are all poisonous or
And
venomous.
Which one looks like a coral snake?
I think that it's a certain type of king snake. King
It's a king
snake
snake.
that looks like a coral snake. This,
Correct.
well, they're calling it a scarlet king snake, but it's not necessarily the one that I learned. But anyway,
Well, yeah, we were always taught to be careful with both because one is poisonous and they do look alike.
yeah. Yep.
And they're both They're both out here in California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah. Very interesting with the Teddy Roosevelt thing. Who was that? That was you were just talking to about Teddy
Hayden.
Roosevelt.
Hayden in Texas.
Yeah. I like Hayden's calls.
Yeah.
Teddy was very interesting, to say the least. Yeah. Well, I don't know that much about him, but I understand he was a good president. And now, one of them, I think, is him. It might be him. It had all of his sons died in combat.
Oh, really? That's terrible.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, they fought for their country.
Yeah,
They
but
fought for their
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the nature of some of these wars were.
I think all four of them served. All four of his sons served, and 3 died.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
We've been paying attention, which we should, because it is the Hake news, to the shooting in Wisconsin, rightfully so. But there was another mass shooting last night, and I sent it to you. As a matter of fact, let me send it to you right now. In Maryland. It's in Maryland.
Baltimore County, right?
Yes.
I saw I have this one app that tells me what's going on in the neighborhood, and it alerted me. It was like, I guess, a national news, and it was a mass shooting, a targeted mass shooting, in Towson, something like that.
Yeah, I just sent it to you 2 seconds ago.
Okay. Yeah, a car flipped over and landed at the footsteps of a door. 9 hospitalized, 1 dead after a Baltimore County mass shooting. A car got set on fire. It was crazy. This is the lawn where the car was flipped over on its side and just burning up. Terrible. Yeah, that's crazy. JLP mentioned reported on that early this morning. First thing. Crazy.
But you know what kills me? You know what kills me, James, is they take these stories down, which makes me pretty much assume, which you shouldn't assume, but it makes me assume that sometimes these are black suspects, and you were just talking to one of your colleagues about how certain ethnic groups are more critical of their own.
Yeah.
Because you even just said that, it kind of intrigues you because you want to know what's on their mind about this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And they do call out their own.
Right.
As I do, because I'm black. And if,
and black people.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like there'll be a bunch of people that have feelings on it, but believe me, I was just talking to somebody in the chat about that. I was taught by my father to not apologize for something that you feel is correct.
That's right.
And so, or what else did he say? He said they'll also tell you, you think you're better than us. And he would say, no, you just respond to them and say, no, I do not think I'm better than you. You think I'm better than you. So if it's right, it's right. It's wrong, it's wrong. It's not a judgmental thing. It's just that, stand-up adults usually don't apologize.
That's right.
Yeah. So that could explain to you why certain blacks are critical of the norm, the followers. You'll have a lot less blacks that are more independent thinking.
Yeah.
And the bigger group is more followers.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
But like your caller said this morning on JOP, prove it. This might have a little something to do with when it's a black suspect involved. How fast they'll pull something off the news. Because this just came out. This Maryland thing just came out like late night last night.
Yeah, it wasn't that late last night. It was 7 local time, I think. 7:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eastern time. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But then you look up and it's all of a sudden like the next morning. It happens all the time, and then it's gone.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yep. It's a mess.
Be careful of those snakes. Remember that poem that Donald Trump had about the snake and the woman?
You knew I was a snake before you let me in. It's a great poem.
Yep.
He reads it. He has read it quite frequently over time.
Yes, he has. And that's no strike against Joe, but that's a good poem. That's a good poem. It means a lot. Isn't that an old poem they used to tell us when we were little kids? I think, man.
It may be. I don't.
In school.
It's sort of like an old Aesop's fable type of a story, or a nursery story or something.
Yeah. I remember it as a child.
Yeah.
I guess back when they were actually teaching kids.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, James.
Good to hear from you,
man. We'll talk
man.
to you later.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
You as well. Bye. Some super chats, guys. Shall we get to them? Lord. Shout out to the DLive crew. I neglected to get to this one, I think. Oh, no, I already read that one. But there was one from Aries 1, a diamond over here. Let me pull it up. I know it's in my Hake. I know that I noted it down as a Hake super chat. Missed super chat. What in the pasa do with a partridge in a pear tree? She says Aries 1 with a diamond there over on the DLive crew as I'm pulling up Rumble. What's up, Rumble crew? They're busy over here talking. Jules Verne, Age of Inversion, White Man, and others. Nice. Good to see you guys. I've built up a whole bunch of tabs over here. The DLive crew, thank you guys for the support. There was, let me just double check the Streamlabs. What's up, Gregatron and Lin Yan Shin, always faithful as a supporter. A super chat. Let me do this and read this one because I read certain ones off air because they have a history of being inappropriate. Inappropriate. But shout out, you know. Where's my Hake super? Missed. You didn't read my super chat from Friday, Jamie Antoine Hake. Because my name is Anton. James Anton Hake. My grandpa, my great-grandpa, whom I don't recall meeting. I don't even know if I did meet him. He may have died before I was born. Because I was born kind of late. Pronounced it Anton. And that's how I used to pronounce it, actually. James Anton Hake. Anton. You know, a lot of Hispanics, Mexicans, They pronounce. I had some friends named Martin, and they would say Martin, Martin, Martin. They wouldn't even say Martin. They would say Martin. Doesn't sound right. Martin. Just FYI. But anyway, Jamie Antoine Hake. Antoine, I think that's a French spelling because a lot of blacks are part French or Creole or whatever. What advice would you give someone who feels suicidal? I'm scared to ask you, but need to know where you stand. I stand against suicide. Don't do it. Never commit suicide. Everything gonna see all right. See all right, because I don't say be, because I'm against the Bloods. But that's not true. I love the Bloods and the Crips. I love everybody. I'm from nowhere. Where you from, S.A.? I'm from nowhere. That's what you're supposed to say. Okay, so thank you. Oh, what advice would I give someone who feels suicidal? Come back to the present. Everything's fine. I would advise not doing it. What else would I say? Calm down. That's not, you know, I doubt that it will give you peace. That it will be peace or relief. I think it's going to be worse. You'll regret it. A lot of people who commit suicide, they regret it as they're doing it. Somebody jumped off a Golden Gate Bridge. He was interviewed by the Jesse Lee Peterson show when I was a producer, way back, about 10 years ago. And after he jumped, he was about 17. He regretted it. He's like, oh no. And so I think he curled up into a ball and he broke his spine and stuff like that, or his, the bones. He messed himself up pretty badly, but he survived because he wanted to live. And he became one of those, kind of lame-o, anti-suicide people, supposedly inspirational or something. But he said that that's common when they do that stuff. They're like, oh, I don't really want to die. So, as Rick Kua, Christian singer, sang, don't say suicide. It's your life. And I don't understand why they said don't say suicide. But because he's singing it, And by the way, I did read your super chat on Friday, and I replied to your coffee with the it wasn't on Friday that I replied to it, or I read it. I read it on Monday because I had missed it on Friday, and I read it on Monday along with right after Based America First's super chat, pretty sure. But thank you. Very kind. So let's get back to some more of these super chats, shall we? Yeah, so thank you, Little Rock at Man. A very hefty coffee from Popcorn's Thump Keg. I'm just spoiling this person. I'm not sure if this is a bad thing necessarily. I'm not sure if I've asked you this before. Do you agree with Jesse's stance that people who pray and sing out loud are worshiping the devil? Yes, I do. Maybe not always, but he didn't say always, I don't think. Because there's a time for that. But, sing out loud? What do you mean sing out loud? I don't know if that. A lot of the times people are in their imagination and it's all selfish. It's all vanity. The Bible says he is in heaven. I am in heaven. You are on earth. Or God is in heaven. You are on earth. Let your words be few. It's even in one of those so-called worship songs. You are in heaven and I am on earth. So I'll let my words be few. And it has a song with a bunch of lyrics. So much for that. I sent him a coffee about it one day, and I obviously disagree. Oh, okay. What do you think? Does that strike you as true? It does strike me as true. Because people are in their imaginations, and every thought and inclination of the heart was always evil all the time. It's what God looked down from heaven and saw in the Old Testament, and to this day, I dare say, it remains true. My grandparents were some of the best people I knew. My grandmother did domestic work. Grandfather raised livestock. Hey. They were just hardworking people who I never heard talk bad about anybody. No one had to tell me to go to work when I became of age, because I modeled what I saw from the grandpa and grandma. Things like respect for my elders. It's just understood. Do right by people, etc. Nice. Hey. That's cool. Popcorn stump cake. I would like to submit for your and is that related to this thing? Did they say, probably grandma sang out loud and prayed out loud? I don't know, people just raised that way. It doesn't make them evil. It's just sometimes it's desperation / entertainment / just training, learning, not knowing God for yourself. Because the Bible says, I've given you a couple of Bible references without citing the book and chapter and verse, but the let your words be few, I think that's somewhere. Somebody cited it last week on Friday. A black guy called into JLP, reading it. Nice. That's added to the silent prayer blog post that you can check out, rebuildingtheman.com/prayer, by the way. So check that out. Check that out. Oh, yeah, the Bible says, I forgot what I was starting to say. I interrupted myself. I'm a tangent writer, a mouth breather. And now I forgot what I was just going to say again. It was just on my mind. Oh, yeah, it says, no longer will a man tell his neighbor, know the Lord, for they will all know him. Maybe from the least to the greatest, from the rich to the poor, from the preacher to the layman. Maybe not that wording, but they will all know him. And your grandparents may well have known that, or they just had good training. Some people just have good training, which contains the evil from being shown so much. You know, kind of like how white women play the long game, and some of these black women are nice too. They play the long game, but there is some evil under there that is revealed that you just didn't see, and good for them not showing it to you. I'd like to submit for your music break this throwback gospel song from my grandparents, 1992. I'd challenge you, not in a negative way, to tell me your impression is that this is evil. Oh, like these songs, these Christian songs? I would argue we need to get back to this basic hand-clapping, foot stomping type of music. Who's we? Me? But anyway, in a church with wooden pews, hand fans, standing in the back of the church with no AC in the summertime, modest clothing. No, look at me. Shout out. He's referring more to black church culture, but there is a little bit of that showiness. It's creeping into the so-called white churches, or the normal churches, if you will. The not full-blown, all-black, mostly, churches. It just shows you the black churches and then the normal churches, if you will, or the not specifically black churches, that there's different cultures. They are two different cultures. They're similar. They're maybe part of a broader culture, but they are two different cultures. Because all of that you just described is foreign to me. And I grew up in like a normal church that just sang. It was, not wild. Anyway, I was glad to see my grandparents' music captured on VHS. These were my summers. These are my roots. Separate the right from the wrong. You can stop at the end of the song, he says. And thank you for the tip, man. That's cool. I'll check that out, and I'll tell you if my impression of it's evil. But I don't think that he necessarily was saying, singing is evil. He was just talking about you're praying to the devil. You're worshiping the devil in your mind. A lot of times, a desperate person will be like, oh, Lord. And they think that they're praying. But where do you get the idea that that's praying? You know, the Bible doesn't necessarily define prayer or necessarily define sin. It'll describe some instances of what it is, or all of that is sin, or this or that, or true religion. But I just noticed, even as a kid, that it wasn't defined. What is worship? What is prayer? What is this? What is that? So it's an interesting thing to ponder, in my opinion. But that's cool, Popcorn Stump Keg. Hey, he is really a Christian. By really a Christian is that, raised Christian and the Christian thing, and shout out. He black, or she, or it, might be an AI. Okay. We're past the top of the hour here, guys. Let me check to see if Joel Friday TV is scheduled, because he's going to be coming on next. Are homosexuals born gay? Born gay. That guy's Joel Friday TV, his thing. Kevin House says of how the blacks and whites have a different culture. He says that it's a different spirit. And I remember mocking one of my older callers. Hake James was judging as a kid. No, I was wondering as a kid. Or young person, high school even. I wondered in college maybe. What question? Answer what question? I'll check into it. I'll check into that. Yeah. Okay. He Black says, Hake, there were many who cried out to God when their spirits were faint, and he responded with provision and rejuvenation. Yeah. So I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying all... maybe I could switch views here. This look ridiculous. I'm not saying all the time it's evil, necessarily. Exceptions to the rule. But you know very well you have prayed in vain. And in selfishness and desperation, and it wasn't a godly desperation. It was a lame-o, pathetic, emotional, short-lived, selfish, devilish, worry-wart desperation. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Oh, HB was on the line. I didn't get to him. Might have been on hold for too long. Sometimes people can't hang on, and I understand it. Steve in Ohio is on the line over here, though. Steve, are you there?
Yes, Hake. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, you're sounding kind of rough. Come to your regular phone and get out of the bathroom or empty room.
No, it's regular phone, but it's an apartment, so...
Oh, yeah, unfurnished apartment. Typical man.
Well, I got to keep up the slave quarters for the other slaves, sir.
Fair enough.
Hey, I just want to say, man, dude, like, you guys help out so much, man. Thank you so much for all that Bond does. Not trying to be a kiss-up, but honestly, bro, thank you so much, man.
Nice.
I did have a question if you would care to hear it.
Yeah, I would.
So, do you ever get any kind of like Antichrist vibes from Trump?
No, but some of the followers, they put him as an Antichrist, kind of like how many of the followers of Jesus put Jesus as an Antichrist. You know how they had their definition of what the Christ was going to be.
Okay.
And so they put him as king, God, all this stuff. And so people may put Trump in a place that Trump doesn't even put himself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The only reason I'm thinking it, I'm like looking biblically, like the Antichrist is gonna bring peace to the world. I mean, I guess that's like the main point. I really don't have any other Antichrist points, but it sure as heck looks like, or sure as Hake looks like Trump's about to unify everybody. If I'm wrong, I mean, I don't know, but it just, that point kind of stuck out, and I don't know if anyone else. I'm giving it too much thought, though. Obviously, I shouldn't even be listening to the thought in the first place.
Interesting. According to this outlet, this internet outlet, some would say the stage is set for that one man of sin, the Antichrist, who will bring the temporary peace between the Arab and the Jew. Many Christians believe Daniel 9:27 is a key prophetic verse that speaks of the Antichrist establishing a peace treaty with Israel.
Yep.
You know, I don't know about that. Maybe not, whatever. There is a whole lot of phonies. You know, Jesus even said, I think, some people in the Bible, maybe John the Baptist, said, you guys are crying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. And you'll notice that Satan is an imitator of God. He's the worst evil pretends to be good. These women, a lot of these Christians pretend to be good when they're not. They're still evil. These politicians, they all couch it in something good. And then they pretend like genocide is this evil thing when they're evil. You know what I mean? I'm not saying genocide or whatever, if it exists, is not evil. Mass murder is evil. But they're for mass murder in the Ukraine war, if you will. They're for mass, or if you want to call that mass murder. They're for war. It's kind of, it seems evil most of the time. Maybe, I don't know.
See, I would equate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would equate a lot of that to. Are you familiar with Ric Flair from like the 80s and 90s in wrestling?
A little bit, yeah.
So he would always pull like a foreign object out of his tights when the ref wasn't looking, and then he'd clock the guy, and then he would put the object back in his pants, and then the referee's like, "Hey, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know," and then he pins the guy. So that's what it feels like is happening to America right now.
So if somebody is pulling, distracting us with...
Yeah, they're distracting the ref, and then, Ric Flair pulls the object out, cracks us, and then they go in for the pin, and everyone's like, oh, no, we didn't see it.
I don't follow your point on that. What's the parallel? What is the metaphorical... Who is the metaphorical Ric Flair, and what is the metaphorical foreign object that he... No. Okay, so because I'm not familiar with this. So this guy used to knock somebody over the head with like a hard object that he kept hidden in his pants?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I mean, well, you were saying earlier how, they'll lash out as they attack you. Like, oh, he's hitting me, but
there's
hitting you.
Yeah, there is this quote that's about Jewish people. They cry out as they strike you. Something like that.
Yeah, so that's what I kind of equated that to.
They play victim, they play innocent and play victim and hide their hand after they threw a rock type of thing.
Yeah, but it's not just America. It's like all over the place.
Indeed.
But
it's human nature.
That's what I'm saying. I can equate it to all evil. Obviously, I talk a lot of bull crap about the Jews, but I love the Jews, man.
Me too.
I do.
Yeah.
But it's just the spirit that drives them. I could do without,
Yeah, I mean, but that's who are we to say we got to do without that? Like, God's letting us be in the world with these women and the female spirit liberals, I'll call them, instead of Jews.
Dang, man, you just all right, man. You just obliterated it all. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Cool, man. Hey, so, but what's your honest opinion on Trump?
Okay, honest opinion, bro.
Yeah.
Like honest, dead honest. I think that Trump isn't even a real dude right now. They're using deep fakes, clones, and robotoids for all these people we're seeing playing out this elaborate movie to tell us a story, because it just seems like it's spoon-fed knowledge. Like, I believe a guided truth isn't a truth, but maybe how deep this truth goes, we need to be guided so we don't frickin', like, explode because it's so deep.
Wow, you believe that some human beings, like men and maybe women, are behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's the
scripting this out, or do you mean that sort of metaphorically, like Satan is?
No, I mean like legitimately, there's been good enough people that have behind the scenes doing like counter propaganda for a long time. But I could be completely wrong. It's just something if they were going to get us, they would have got us by now. That's my opinion,
Who's they, and what do you mean get? Without being too edgy.
Whoever the guy making the rules is, that we all have to abide by. We never met the dude.
The devil.
Yeah, whoever's making these rules, that's the guy. Mm-hmm.
They say great minds think alike, but dark minds kind of think alike too. Everybody's all out for selfishness, and that's a devil mind.
No, and you're right. I'm still fighting it every day with the ego. Like when Jesse was saying, next 3 minutes, just stay present. Yeah. I was gone after 10 seconds, man.
Wow, interesting.
So it's a lot of work, but I appreciate all you guys do at Bond, man. Keep crushing. Next year we're gonna win either way. If it's not next year, it'll be in heaven.
Nice, man. Well, I appreciate you, Steve.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Bye. Wow. So we get to a little bit of news. I had mentioned that there was some stuff going on in the world, Oh, pardon me. I didn't get to play the whole song of Oh Holy Night. We had some issues, Thank you, Riley JM, for the coffee. 5 coffees, by the way. Oh, and then there's another coffee from, I might as well read these, okay? Another coffee from the person whom I censor, okay? And I don't tend to read any shout-outs anyway. Personal shout-outs, For your consideration, the relishers, like the Avengers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people on this list. Shame on you. I disavow that number. Who else? Because I don't think about the future, but shout out to the whites. Who else would you add to the list? And darn, or dang. Now I definitely have to watch Joel Friday today. Nice. Yes, do catch Joel Friday TV. He is coming up. Oh, so-and-so wanted us to tell you hi. Who's us? He sent people from his stream to watch you. Cool, man. Shout out to JS. He called my show recently, I think. Or, I don't know, somehow I talked to him. And Riley JM, thank you, man, for your coffee. Let me just make sure that I'm logged in so that I can, in case Riley JM put anything there. Thank you, Riley JM. 5 coffees, no message. And another from the Little Rocket Man. Dang it, I forgot Steve. Oops, this person. Great group of people, even so-and-so. Do you get uncomfortable talking to the not morally straight people? It may be sometimes a little bit, because it's like so over the top, effeminate. It's like so showy, I think even the not morally straight people may get a little put off by that display. But people got their issues, everybody has their issues. Do you get uncomfortable when you used to talk to me on the phone? You definitely made me cringe. Until 2023, never encountered so many evil people till I stumbled upon Bond. You just weren't aware. There definitely needs to be room for love on both sides. I'm not innocent in my lack of love, but I got to try. There is no try. I'm going to say farewell to your shows, which stinks. He says a different word, because you're my court jester. I'm doing like court jester, fake stuff. Going to try to say good farewell to your shows. I got you to say whatever I want you to say for $3. But I did try to reach you and tell you you're wrong. Like Joel said, I can't change y'all, so good luck. James, thanks, man. Please change your ways. You got to change your ways. And don't be afraid to tell your snake pit to be better. Hey, snake pit, shape up. Actually, follow Christ. So long, Baja, man. Sincerely, so-and-so, the Z, King of Graduates, something 8. I also disavow the 8 number, except for the Chinese. Shout out. How about some Chicken Lips? It's a great song. It is. Maybe in the new year, or, you know, you never know. Shout out to the DLive crew. Let me double check Rumble. Age of Inversion, Teed Flying Monkey. Nice to see you guys. Jules Verne, White Man. And I feel like there was somebody else in there at times. Oh, yeah. What's up, JS? Nice to see you, man. Okay. So in the last 25 minutes or so here, let me get to some things going on in the world. Oh, this was interesting, and I didn't get to read it in its completion, I don't think. Evil Disney, you know, it's no big surprise. We've been knowing Disney is evil. Disney is evil. We recognize many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. That's a quote from attributed to the company called Disney, announcing they've cut a so-called transgender storyline from their new animated series called Win or Lose. I disavow it. Ahead of the show's release. When asked, I only watch 10 and 20-year-old shows that have been properly vetted by my mom. No, I'm kidding. When asked if the decision could be interpreted as Disney distancing themselves from diversity initiatives, I like to use themselves. It's grammatically okay, I guess. Accepted nowadays. I used to call it Disney distancing itself from diversity initiatives in anticipation of a second Trump administration. They declined to comment. And as they should. I mean, that's just a dumb, silly drama, gotcha, juicy gossip, messy question from the evil liberal media. Look at that. It looks so innocent, and but they didn't censor it. They had like a lesbian kiss in the past. Sorry, kids, ladies. They've done all kinds of evil things. Disney-owned studio Pixar. Was Pixar... They did Toy Story originally, and it was separate from Disney at that point, I think. Could be wrong. What a mess. Let's see. First reported by The Hollywood Reporter. Another sleazy... oh, Lord. Another sleazy outlet. Hollywood Reporter. Gossip rag. DEI isn't actually dead. This is a thing for subscribers, so I might not be able to read this whole thing. Walmart cutting the DEI stuff. Oh, man, they're trying to make me read it. No thanks. Pay for as little as $3 a month. You can't. $3.99 a month or $29.99 a year. Best value. You can support Commie Nonsense and get your Commie Nonsense. I'd rather get it for free because, in my opinion, you guys are evil. Shout out. And you're liars. You do Commie Nonsense stuff. But I do like your, I'm talking to CNN here. I do like getting some, what you guys think is important and or whatever. You're following the crowd, and hey, I follow the crowd sometimes. What else is going on? I don't know if I care about the spacewalk. But the Chinese went to space. Explain that, space deniers. Even the Chinese are doing it. They don't lie. I was wrong. Let me admit, I was wrong with this United Healthcare CEO. He was indeed charged with first-degree murder. And it was by this guy, this black guy with the big face. Shout out to him. Luigi, and he didn't say that word. He didn't say that. That word, Mangione. You said Mangione. Okay, so I saw a viral, sort of viral, edited clip that said Luigi Mangione, but instead of Mangione, they said man something else. But no, he didn't say that. You could tell that he didn't say that. Luigi Mangione is charged with they unsealed an 11-count indictment. 1 count of murder in the first degree, not just second-degree murder. So I was being dumb. I was being premature and dumb, prematurely questioning, judging, wondering. And 2 of murder in the second degree, 2 counts of murder in the second degree. He murdered 1 man. He gets 3 different counts of murder. Along with other weapon and forgery charges, murder as an act of terrorism, by the way. Murder as an act of terrorism. It's terrible. That's why it's called terrorism. So he intended to evoke terror with the killing. His actions, prosecutors added, were intended to intimidate and coerce a civilian population and influence the policies of a unit of government by intimidation or coercion. He faces a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole if convicted, because New York, apparently they don't seek the death penalty. I feel like that picture is scrunched. They scrunched the height of his face. That's very poor. What are you, black, you guys? Because doesn't that look like they scrunched his face? Like they stretched out his face? That's not proper. This one's face looks normal, even though he is bigger. I got jowls like that a little bit. They may have trouble proving first-degree murder charge against Luigi Mangione, legal experts say. That's why they initially charged him with second-degree murder, huh? I guess. Or, I don't know. What we were hearing about was second-degree murder, right? Frightening, well-planned, targeted killing. We'll see what happens, man. One thing that I don't like is the politics and the crowd and public outcry influence a lot of charges against people. I don't know if it's the case here. Not just public outcry, but in this case, it's government and big businesses, which in this case means the insurance companies that are in bed with the government now. The government brought them to bed with them. One of the most bustling parts of our city, threatening the safety of local residents and tourists alike, commuters and business people just starting out their day. I don't know, man. It wasn't like he was really going to miss. And he didn't miss. Let's just deal with the fact that he killed the guy. Can we? Trying to pile on to make it as if it's worse than... Let's just... It's evil enough that he went after this Brian Thompson character. Man. Family Man, by the way, I think. Jessica Tisch. Shocking and appalling celebration. Oh, yeah, there's people celebrating it. I saw it on Reddit. I don't know if I shared it to my Hake Reddit. Did you know that Hake is on Reddit? James Anton Hake on Reddit, and I have a r/Hake. Nobody goes there. One person went there for a second. Actually, I haven't checked. But there are lame, like, women, young ladies who are holding these signs, deny, depose, blah, blah, blah. Whatever those words were. Delay, I don't know. There's no heroism in what Mangione did. A senseless act of violence. Don't use that word. That's overused, in my opinion. The victim was shot in the back of the head, not the front of the head, on a quiet sidewalk early in the morning in the dark. Doesn't appear from a defense attorney's perspective. This was intended to be a terroristic type of murder. Well, I know, but what about the fact that those rounds, those bullets or rounds or whatever they're called, had words written on them? And it was the name of this book that was criticizing the allegedly criticizing the health so-called care industry. I don't know. What a mess. So much hate, hateful people and hateful people and hateful people. What a mess. Notable victory of Bragg's career. It's funny, they called it a notable victory of Bragg's career. He charged President Donald Trump with 34 criminal counts related to so-called hush money payments. I call it extortion. To that dirty video woman, Stephanie Clifford, they call her this. They call her this because they're into schmornography. But I call it dirty video woman, Stephanie Clifford. Not to be confused with another woman named that. But they call her porn star Stormy Daniels. But I call her Stephanie Clifford, the dirty video woman. I call that a notable defeat. You know, Joe from Phoenix calls in and talks about Trump being a felon and all that dumb stuff. That's not a fair or logical or reasonable assessment of the situation. Okay, so Alvin Bragg is the wrong guy to go after Mangione. Maybe, in my opinion, maybe he'll do right by it. Who knows? But it's ridiculous. These people aren't about justice. Let me show you some cussing guys' takes on what's on if I can find them. There's this guy, hater of Trump supporters. And I took some screenshots of his mess. And I'd like to show them to you. This guy. I'm a safe person. This adult male looks potentially every bit as manly as Hake. He has a beard. A lot of times it's a cover-up. But he has this sweatshirt on, relatively fit, standing in front of some high school, I guess. I don't know if he should be around there wearing this shirt. I'm a safe person. He has the LGBTBLM the T is included there. Black and brown lives matter. I'm a safe person. You wouldn't want to jog in this shirt because that'll chafe those sensitive areas. Whatever. Anyway, so this guy, okay? So cover your eyes, kids. I'll bleep whatever he says. So a murderer, R-wordist, rapist, and a couch blipper, effer, walk into a college football game. Hopefully Daniel Penny meets a similar fate to the guy he so-called murdered. What an evil, malicious person, right? Evil, malicious person. Shout out to Daniel Penny. And he's crossing his white fingers crossed emoji. What an evil person. Isn't that evil? I'm covering up Daniel Penny's face, not to be malicious. There. Get myself out of the way. He murdered. Wow. And that's very unclassy description of this guy. what an unclassy joke of a person, right? Okay, so there's that. But hey, love keeps no record of wrongs. We don't judge this man for saying this evil, vulgar thing and hateful thing and lying thing for likes, okay? We don't hold that against him, or we shouldn't. But we stay away from this evil person. Don't forget that Kyle Rittenhouse purchased its AR-15 using coronavirus stimulus money and unemployment. Our socialist tax dollars purchased the murder weapon, he called it. He's accusing Kyle Rittenhouse of murder without any evidence. We all knew that it wasn't evidence. The people saying Kyle Rittenhouse isn't a murderer are the same ones calling abortion murder. Let that marinate for a minute. Yeah, abortion, killing an innocent person. Kyle Rittenhouse killing his attackers in self-defense. Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I mean, I don't tend to call abortion murder. It's, but you could call it murder. It's definitely selfish. I don't know how malicious it is towards the babies. I think it's just heartless, careless, senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. I suppose you could call it murder. These people are murderers. Okay, so it comes to this. Yesterday or the day before, this person, don't harass him. Or maybe it's a she, who knows? We don't know. A lot of times people take testosterone and grow beards in their gals or whatever. A 15-year-old girl shot up a Christian school, killing 2 people and killed herself and injuring 6 others. The GOP instantly said she's transgender. The GOP being, I don't know if the GOP said it, but many Republicans or conservatives or people, speculators, including Carver, might have been joking, not sure, said this gal was transgender, and that's why this gal shot up the Christian school. Because that's sort of what happened in the Nashville incident. They don't wait for information. They just make it up and hope that no one fact checks them, says this person. That's a human nature thing. That's why you always catch JLP saying, wait and see. Don't know, wait and see. He doesn't go with speculation and assumption. And old school people tend to be like that. But the younger people, both liberals and so-called conservatives, jump to conclusions about hearsay. You heard Steve from Ohio say some wild stuff, not necessarily believing it now, but a lot of us younger people, I suppose I include myself on some level with this. I'm a little bit more careful of a thinker, I think, than some of you guys, though. Fall for it, yeah. But then he says, that's why I will be showing zero compassion to Trump supporters moving forward. They are pure evil, period. But we just heard him make up stuff about Kyle Rittenhouse a murderer, about Daniel Penny a murderer, without any evidence. Daniel Penny is the guy who restrained Jordan Neely on the subway, and Jordan Neely ended up passing out and eventually dying. Probably had to do with him being on drugs and then the stress of having to be restrained. He had to be restrained, maybe. Daniel Neely deemed it that way. And so this is a little Hake responding, the Hake report. So you're going to show zero compassion to black people who assume someone is racist or a murderer without evidence when a BLM victim dies? Oh, no. He doesn't show zero compassion to them. Well, he does. He does show zero compassion to the blacks and himself because he's being evil. Are you only judging the GOP for the same pure evil human nature you yourself have? Said Hake. Wasn't that right? Isn't that nice? This guy. Don't harass him. I wish more people were upset about a felon and an R-wordist rapist being president, said he. What a crazy person, huh? What a sucker. But people are suckers. Justin in Fullerton, California is on the line here. Justin, thank you for calling, man.
Hey, I wanted to say happy birthday to you, and just, share some information. I don't know. Did you happen to see about a boy?
Come to your phone. You're in an echoey room, or you're on speakerphone. Come real close to your.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's way better.
Oh, okay, I'll step out. I was over here just in a kind of quieter place, but I did hear an echo. Okay.
Thanks, man.
Let me back up. Did you hear about a boy that went viral that shared how many, different places in the Bible, every book, essentially mentioned Jesus?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I saw that.
Okay, so basically, I could tell you, or you could find it yourself to be true, but there's a lot of people that are, mentally ill, like the guy that killed whoever the guys that the people that orchestrated that hit, for the United Health president. And a lot of them think they're Jesus. I don't know if you've ever spoken to people, but sometimes the mentally ill people, they're confused that they think eventually that they're doing some type, like not doing God's work, but they themselves are supposedly Jesus or something. But
people who commit these who try to commit these assassinations think they're Jesus?
Yeah. A lot of these people are demented, they say, but I think it's demon possessed.
Yeah.
And when I heard I literally, saw the boy saying all that he said, I had to research it, and I looked it up, and I find it to be true. There's probably more people that are imagining, okay, this was a good guy, or this was a good prophet, or this was some interesting individual, but just with a book, no videos, it lasted all this time. And then I just thought that it was so innocent that a young boy could, without a lot of intellect, obviously he probably, got the information somehow, but he shared how every single place in the Bible has already mentioned Jesus. So to say where in Genesis, I could tell you in the beginning, there's a lot of books, but
what's the connection between the Bible mentioning or referencing Jesus and these people who think these deluded people who think that they themselves are Jesus? I don't follow the connection. I missed it. I apologize.
So when people forget that every single Bible actually contains the prophecy or how Jesus was always there in the beginning, when they forget that, they then all of a sudden think it's just a book. They just get into a religiosity, some type of induced psychosis, whatever. I'm not a doctor, but something happens, and I've seen it in more than one person in my life. I've seen it in 3 people that think they're Jesus, and you see violence sometimes, like demons out of these people. That's why I think Jesus did what he did to free people from the demons. Not saying that every mentally ill person that thinks they're Jesus can do that, but if you remove Jesus from the book and you say it's just a book and there is no linking here of him coming from the beginning in Jesus' time, whatever that was, the beginning, the Bible says the Word was with God, and they refer to, Jesus as the Word. So in every single book, I think if people would read that and seek to find that knowledge, they'd find Jesus in their own lives, not have to manifest some imaginary thing.
You might be right. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I get that the Bible kind of prophesies about Jesus throughout the Old Testament and in the New Testament references him a lot. But present day stuff, you might be right. You might be right.
Because if you're...
I'm not sure that the word... the word may mean Jesus, or it may be us reading into it as that meaning Jesus. At one point, Jesus called himself the way, the truth, and the life. But the word made flesh, the word became flesh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the word in Jesus or the word is Jesus. I couldn't tell you. But it's
Yeah.
interesting, man. I'm not sure.
But I
Wow,
definitely
how do
think
you
it's a
know so
good-
many people who thought you personally knew people who thought they were Jesus?
Yeah, and I that's why I kind of felt like it's something that might be a derangement
I would think so.
syndrome, or,
Oh, a
right?
syndrome?
But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's spreading or whatever, a narcissism or the evil that people welcome into their lives, you know, becomes more apparent that they're seeking to be God, you know, and I think a lot of people's violence, which is not from God, is evident that it's actually from the devil. So who are these people thinking, you know, that they really are? I think that they're, you know, deranged, but they're probably demon possessed. Is probably more historical or biblical.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that when I called you, I thought about just telling you about it. But I mean, definitely, you know, you can do your own research. But the boy who brought up about how Jesus is in every book of the Bible means there's no absence of Jesus ever, you know. And Christmas is not just one day out of the year to remember that. It should be every day. If you are a Christian, you should find out why it is so important that everybody calls Jesus, you know, the Son of God or the Son of Man or the Word, all these Prince of Peace, all these, you know, titles, because then you'll be more reassured that who is the Savior, who is the Christ. It's not you, and it's not someone else. It was only one, and it's not a book. You know, a book can only give you some type of intellect, but knowledge from God, true wisdom, in the beginning should be fearing that there's God. That's how you have true wisdom, the Bible says.
Let's talk again, man. I got to wrap up the show. I can't really talk further with you on this, although I'd like to
No worries.
another time, man.
No worries. Happy birthday, and stay well.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right.
Bye. The rest of the callers and the super chatters, Alex in California wanted to talk about how flat Earth has been debunked. He may be mocking, I'm not sure. But I got to wrap things up. It is Christmas time, so let's listen to Lujo Records' All I Want for Christmas EP. This is the Out Circuit covering Emmanuel.
Oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, come thou dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent here, and drive away the shades of night, and pierce the clouds and bring us light. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O
What's up, Radulaser?
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel
Seabill.
shall come to thee, O Israel.
Thanks for the coffee, Seabill. I'll read it tomorrow.
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to
Mildew Grew. What's up, man? Take care, guys.